In this video, you will learn how to identify if ratios form a proportion. What are ratios and proportions? Have you ever cooked rice before? Most recipes say to use 2 parts water to 1 part rice. This is a ratio comparing the amount of water to the amount of rice. We can also write ratios as fractions. 2/1 is this scenario. If we decide to add more rice, we would also need to increase the water by a proportional amount. A proportion is a statement that 2 ratios are equivalent to each other. If I measure 4 parts water to 2 parts rice, is this equivalent to 2 parts water to 1 part rice? Well, if I cut my measurements in half, then 4 parts water divided by 2 is 2 parts water, and 2 parts rice divided by 2 is 1 part rice. Since the ratios are equivalent in their simplest form, then they form a proportion. Do the ratios 4/12 and 1/4 form a proportion? Let's check to see if the ratios are equal to each other by writing them in their simplest forms and comparing. 1/4 is in its simplest form, so we only need to simplify 4/12. The greatest common factor of 4 and 12 is 4, so divide the numerator and denominator by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. The simplest form of 4/12 is 1/3. 1/3 is not equal to 1/4. Since the 2 fractions are not equal in their simplest form, the 2 ratios do not form a proportion. Do the ratios 52 to 36 and 78 to 54 form a proportion? We'll write these ratios as fractions, simplify the fractions, and then check to see if they are equal to each other. 52 to 36 can be written as 52 over 36, and 78 to 54 can be written as 78 over 54. Now let's write them in their simplest forms and compare. The greatest common factor of 52 and 36 is 4. 52 divided by 4 is 13, and 36 divided by 4 is 9. The simplest form of 52 over 36 is 13 over 9. The greatest common factor of 78 and 54 is 6. 78 divided by 6 is 13, and 54 divided by 6 is 9. The simplest form of 78 over 54 is 13 over 9. Since the 2 fractions are equal in their simplest forms, the 2 ratios form a proportion. Remember, a proportion is a statement that 2 ratios are equivalent to each other. 2 ratios form a proportion if the first ratio A over B is equal to the second ratio C over D. You can write the fractions in their simplest forms and compare to determine if they're equal and form a proportion. You can also multiply both sides of the equation by both denominators, B times D, to eliminate the denominators and see if the products are equal. The B's cancel each other out on the left side, and the D's cancel each other out on the right side. We're left with A times D equals B times C. If the ratios form a proportion, then the final equation A times D equals B times C will be true. If the ratios do not form a proportion, then the equation will be false. Let's try this method in our last example. Do the ratios 25 to 90 and 5 to 18 form a proportion? Let's check to see if 25 over 90 is equal to 5 over 18. To eliminate both 90 and 18 from the denominators, let's multiply both sides of the equation by 90 times 18. The 90s cancel each other out on the left side, and the 18s cancel each other out on the right side. We're left with 25 times 18 equals 90 times 5. You may have heard these referred to as the cross products. 25 times 18 is 450, and 90 times 5 is 450. Since the 2 sides of the equation are equal, these ratios form a proportion. Thanks for watching.